Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about range estimating tractor trailers with this primary arms PLX 1-8x24. Okay, so this is a Platinum series scope, first focal plane. This is a $1,500 scope, and then it's got an aerial precision mount on it, so that brings the total cost up to about $1,600. This normally lives on my Ruger MPR, but for the last week, basically what I did is I took the scope off of the rifle, and I basically came out into the real world, right? So I can point the scope at real things, like real people, real cars, and specifically today I want to talk about range estimating tractor trailers. Okay, so I specifically had in mind when I bought this scope, range estimating tractor trailers. Okay, and the reason is because tractor trailers are very common. Okay, and their size is very standardized. Okay, they're about 75 feet long, about 13.5 feet tall. Okay, so and they're everywhere, right? And the thing is, tractor trailers are, because they're big, they are a very accurate way of measuring distance, especially at distance. Okay, basically, I've been looking through the scope over there. You can see the horizontal bridge, and I've been basically looking at the tractor trailers as they've been going across, and basically the bridges, like this is the close end over there. The far end over there is obviously a little bit further away. So the way the tractor trailers are sizing up, they're sizing up about 4.5 mils on the close end, about 5.5 mils on the far end. Okay, so what that, and you could just, I would just basically average that to 5 mils. So 5 mils, okay, on a tractor trailer that I know is 75 feet long. 5 mils means that bridge over there is at about 5,000 yards, which is roughly a mile. Okay, so that bridge is a mile away. Now, obviously, this is not shooting distance, but this is like running distance, right? Jogging distance. I need to know how far away something is so I can pace myself, right? How quickly can I run to that thing? Obviously, at my age, I'm not going to be doing an all-out sprint towards that bridge. I'm going to have to basically do jogs, and basically I'm going to have to kind of like take points, like little rest points in between, where I can take cover, take some shelter, so basically I might be sprinting between those rest points. Okay? So some information I want to share with you guys, okay, on the tractor trailer, okay, because here's the thing, against something like this, you don't necessarily want to be doing your calculations out in the field. If you expect to see tractor trailers, this is something you can kind of commit to memory. Okay, so tractor trailer 75 feet long. So over here we got the yards. Okay, over here we got the mil measurements that you would take in your scope. Okay, so at 100 yards, your tractor trailer is going to be 250 mils. So that's going to be outside your scope, which is not a big deal, because first of all, if it's going to be that close, I would just go by the height, because on this side over here, I have 13.5 feet tall. So your tractor trailer at 100 yards is going to be 45 mils tall, right? So basically, if it's outside my scope, I can basically, instead of trying to measure it lengthwise, I can measure it height-wise. And it's going to measure in at 45 mils to give me that 100 yards. Okay, so the nice thing about this scope, this is the only scope that I've come across that gives you a total of 200 mils on the horizontal stadium and a total of 200 mils on the vertical stadium. So that allows you to range estimate large things like tractor trailers, airplanes, some of these cargo ships out here, right? I did a video on this yesterday where I was sizing up these cargo ships. Now with cargo ships, what I was doing is I was able to measure one of these yesterday basically, because you don't know what the size of these cargo ships is. They're all like different sizes. But I was able to put my rangefinder on it, right? And it was like at 1,000 yards inside the range of my rangefinder. So then I was able to do some reverse calculation, and I was able to figure out that the cargo ship was 500 feet long and 90 feet wide. So what that means is once now it goes further out, right? It goes beyond the range of my rangefinder. I would know where that ship is at a distance using the mill scope. Okay, so let's get back over here. Let's go back to the trucks. So anyway, as I was saying, this is one of the great things about this scope. It allows you the ability to range estimate off of very large things, and if you're trying to range estimate off small things like the size of a man, there's more of a margin of error. Like with a big tractor trailer, even if you're off, I mean, you're still going to be pretty close, because it's big. There's a much larger, much more generous margin of error. So let's go through some of these numbers. Okay, try to get this. All right, so 100 yards. 250 mils, 200 yards, 125 mils, 300 yards, 83 mils, 400 yards, 63 mils, 500 yards, 50 mils, 600 yards, 42 mils, 700 yards, 36, 800 yards, 31, 1300 yards, 19. Right, you see there's a big jump here. All right, at 2500 yards you got 10 mils, and at 5000 yards you're gonna have 5 mils. Which is where that bridge is out there, where I am measuring those and also on this side, like I said, I got the height. Okay, so with the height at 100, you got 45 mils, 223, 315, 411, 509, 600, 7.5, 700, 6.5, 800, 5.5, 900, 5, 1000. 4.5. Okay, so you can use either the length or the height of the tractor trailers. Now, one of the things about this, oops, lower my camera. Yeah, obviously we're in the real world here. We're by the ocean here, so it tends to be a little bit windy. So with this scope from Primary Arms, right? The great thing about the scope is it's a first focal plane scope. So what happens is, when you are in 1 power, basically you see this duplex reticle. Okay, now the measurements are all in there, but they're really kind of shrunk down. And then as you zoom in, right, you're zooming in on this image here. Okay, now as far as this duplex reticle, one of the things that I found, right, when I was looking at those tractor trailers, it was a lot easier, because this line over here, these are the wind holes, right, on the 800 yard mark. Well, these are basically spaced apart, spaced 1 mil apart. So this area over here is just a lot cleaner. So it was just a lot quicker and easier for me just to go down to this line over here, where I know that the wind dots are 1 mil apart. And basically I would size my truck from there to there, and I knew I had 5 mils. Okay. The other thing you could do is, if you on the edge, like if you went to a 3 power, right, you could kind of see from this barbell here to you could basically count. I mean, it's a little out of this picture, but this was also a good spot at 3 magnification where you could get a good image, because at 8, you have to be in 8 magnification to see this over here. And then what happens is, but the problem is, sometimes, because those trucks are moving pretty quickly, sometimes I have to zoom out to 3 magnification. So when I zoomed out to 3 magnification, these dots here were a little bit too fine. This area was too fine. So I went to this area over here, which had the much darker line, and I was quickly able to put my truck here and size it up at 5 mils, right? So this is a very, very useful reticle like that. But it's one of those things, you got to actually work with it. You got to take it off the rifle. You got to get into the work, to the real world, and you got to actually put it on people and cars and boats and things that are moving, because you know, I didn't realize until today, because I've done this before, but the last time I did this, I was looking at tractor trailers that were like just parked. Okay, so if it's parked and you're stationary, it's really easy to, you know, line up the lines, and you can, you know, you could use almost any part of the scope. Let me go back to the paper. So if your tractor trailer is parked, right, you can pretty much like get into this area over here, you know, which is a little bit more busy, right? And you can use this, right, because you have all the time in the world. But when that tractor trailer is moving at whatever, like 50 miles an hour up there, right, this area here, it gets a little confusing. It's a lot easier to come down to this area over here that's a lot cleaner, or use this part of the, you know, if you, or basically zoom out to 3 power, so that you have a wider field of view. And the reason why you guys zoom out is because the tractor trailer is moving, right? If you're really zoomed in, right, you pick it up over here, and it's like as soon as it comes into your field of view, it goes out of your field of view, and it's hard to track it, right? But if you zoom out to 3 power, right, so you can see more, then you can track it from out here, right, and you're able to kind of lead it because you have a wider field of view. So that's one of the things I found very, very useful with these moving vehicles, to zoom back out, and basically track them in from 3 magnification, and go back and go to a part of this reticle that's darker, which is out here, all right, towards the edge, so that I can more easily, you know, take a quick measure, because here's the thing: those trucks are moving, like I said, at about 50 miles an hour up there, and it's only a matter of time before they leave your field of view, right? And right now, this is an area where I don't have trees and other stuff in front of me. Like yesterday, I was working in a different area where I had lots of trees, and trees are one of those things that, like, if you're trying to look around trees or buildings, you know, that kind of limits your time even more. Okay, but that's one of the practical things. You got to get the scope off the rifle, and you got to get out into the real world, you know, and actually like test it out, right, and try to track vehicles, and try to, you know, actually do the range estimation under realistically timed conditions, because this is a timed condition. I want to get my measurement before that truck basically gets out of my field of view. So anyway, I hope you guys found this video useful, and drop some comments below. I'm going to try, and because what I did is in a separate video, I tried zooming in, and I tried looking through the scope and giving you guys an image of what I'm seeing. I tried doing it at 1 power, at 3 power, and at 8 power, and it's really hard, because what the camera's trying to do is it's trying to focus on the lens, rather than basically focus on what's out there. So that's why I was having some serious focusing issues. Okay, but I'll attach that part of the video, and, you know, hopefully you guys get something useful out of that. Okay, but that's the reason why I also printed out the paper, because I knew it would be a lot easier for you guys to see that. Talk to you soon.